He was unknown to most of the world just a few weeks ago. Now, Juan Guaido is at the center of a massive movement to topple Venezuela's embattled socialist president, Nicolas Maduro.
Venezuelan men and women, pledge yourself to Venezuela with social justice.
The 35-year-old National Assembly Speaker took center stage last month when he declared himself Venezuela's interim president. Recognized by the United States and a host of other nations, Guaido has promised to hold elections to usher in a new era for a country plagued by shortages of food, medicine, and hyperinflation. He's the man of the hour, says Venezuelan-Israeli economist Danny Bahar.
Until recently, he was not very well known in the public sphere, but he actually has come across as somebody who's been able to manage to unify the opposition and to bring a lot of hope that was missing.
It was the devastating floods of 1999 in his home state of Vargas and the government's failure to rebuild after the devastation that spurred the young Guaido to pursue politics after getting an engineering degree at the university. Over the years, he participated in opposition protests against Maduro, who continued the socialist policies of his predecessor, Hugo Chavez, who died in office in 2013. Re-elected last year in a vote widely viewed as rigged, protests intensified after Maduro was sworn into office for another 6-year term in January. What makes these protests different is that Venezuela's opposition is united behind Guaido.
It is known that the opposition inside has really struggled to come across one message, one strategy. And suddenly comes this person who was relatively unknown, who comes from a very humble background, and he's a new face, and who had the courage of doing what many people thought that was impossible.
Forcing Maduro to step down remains a challenge. Meanwhile, the opposition has offered a wide-ranging program to rebuild Venezuela, though some Latin American observers are skeptical.
A lot of people anticipate that under a sort of Guaido-led government, there would be a reduction of the government's involvement in social programs to help the poor and so on, and that they're often associated with the Venezuelan elites as opposed to the Venezuelan poor.
But on the streets of Caracas, most Venezuelans are hopeful about Guaido and the opposition.
Until now, I'm confident that the actions they're taking will lead us to resolve this situation that is so difficult for all Venezuelans.
Guaido has pledged to hold free and fair elections and, in a VOA interview, did not rule out running for president if that is the consensus of the opposition. But for now, the rallies and protests are expected to continue until Maduro steps down. Bill Rodgers for VOA News, Washington.